What do we got here today? I haven't made a video in a while, and quite frankly, YouTube has a new policy, whereas if you don't have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of views each year, they demonetize your channel. I'm very close. I've got well over 4,000 hours of viewing time each year, but my subscription is stuck at 961. So if you find my videos useful or helpful and you watch them but haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it if you would just click on the subscribe button, and if I can get another 39 subscribers by February 20th, my channel will stay monetized. Now, I don't make a living off of this channel by any means. If I'm lucky, it gives me a little bit of cigarette and beer money. So I'm not looking to make it $1 million channel, but I would like it to stay monetized, because that's part of the incentive as to why I even bother doing this. Anyway, if you can see a way clear to clicking that subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. A co-worker of mine recently gave me a box of machine tool parts, but they're for apparently very big lathes. I mean, like, look at this cutting tool. It's 1.25 inches square. I've got nothing I can use that on. Or this one. Big stuff. There's a couple of interesting things in here. We'll go through them at a later time. But what I want to do today is, there were 2 chucks in this box. Now this one is a Jacobs ball bearing number 18N with a capacity of 3/4 inch, and this is a number 4 Morse taper, which I can't use. None of my machines accept the number 4 Morse taper. So with this chuck, it's because it's ball bearing, it's not frozen. It works pretty well. I got to get some kind of lubricant in there, maybe WD-40 or whatever, without having to disassemble this chuck. But I do want to get this Morse taper out of here, and that can be a real problem with something like this. This chuck is a Jacobs chuck, and it's a number 34. And what's the capacity of this one? I'll grab my glasses. Okay, this one has a capacity of 1/2 inch, and that's a nice chuck too. It doesn't look like there's much wear on the jaws, but it's very stiff, almost frozen. I can get it to turn with a chuck key. So this is a chuck that I also would like to get this out of, this tape, I can't think of the word all of a sudden. I want to get this out. It looks like it's a number 1 Morse taper, but it also looks like it has been so abused and spun so many times that if I put it into my tailstock on my small Atlas lathe, it just spins. It just won't lock in. So I want to get this out. One way you go about getting these out is by drilling a hole through the body of the chuck so that you can put a rod in and press this out. There are other ways I've seen. If you're not concerned with saving this, you can weld a collar to it, you can use wedges, but the easiest way is to bore down through the body of the chuck and then try to press it out. Fortunately, I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but somebody's already bored a hole in the bottom of this chuck. So we may be able to just, let's see. I can't get it right. There you go. Has bored a hole in the bottom, and we may be able to just put this on the press and pop this out. We'll try to do that first. Alright, we're here over at the press now, and this is a 20-ton press. I've got a couple of press plates that'll support the bottom of the chuck, and apparently the hole will only allow a 5/16 bolt or whatever to go down inside of it. Before I do that, I'm going to spray some penetrating oil into the bottom. You know, I should probably let it soak for a while, but hey, let's see what happens. I put the bolt in, and I got a little block here. It looks pretty good. Let's see what happens. Now, it's just bending the 5/16 bolt. We're going to have to find something a little stronger than that. Alright, I got it set up again here with a solid 5/16 rod and a block, and we'll see what this does. Oh, that didn't work either. Also bent. All right, we go to plan C. All right, now I have a punch in there, a hardened punch, and we'll see what that does. Need to extend my handle. Ooh. Wow! Hey, we got it out. That was explosive. Okay. Cool. Now where the heck is the, there it is. There we go. So, that was successful. Alright, so we were able to get this out of here. Wow. If you look, you can see how far in it actually gets, you know, forced in to hold the chuck. But it did come out. There is a hole through it which allowed us to punch it out, and that's pretty much the easiest way to get one of these mandrels out of the chuck. So this chuck is now, just because of that oil that I sprayed in there, you can feel it, it's all loosened up. So what I'm going to do is I will clean this chuck up. I won't do it on camera because, I mean, you know, it's kind of boring watching me on a wire wheel and everything. I'm not going to take this one apart. I'm just going to try to get I think an R8 spindle, an R8, I guess, what do you call it? It's not a mandrel, it's a, well, whatever. To fit this is a 4, I said, a number 4 Jacob's taper. So I'll see if I can buy one of those, and I'll be able to use this chuck on my milling machine. That's cool. Alright, so now we got to deal with this one. Now this one does not have a hole drilled through it. So until I feel it break through the body of the chuck, and then I'm going to try to press this one out. Okay, well, I've got the chuck and the arbor. I remembered what it's called. The chuck and the arbor in a drill press vise here, and I'm going to drill through the bottom of the body so that I can press it out, and put a little cutting oil in there. And let's see what happens. Feel it breaking through. There it is. The body of the chuck is actually, it's pretty soft. All right, I've got the same punch that I used on the 3/4 inch chuck in there. And I don't expect this will take as much pressure, but you never know. Here we go. Boom. That should be it. Didn't take much at all. Okay, well, here's the arbor, and here's the chuck. That was pretty simple. Okay, so that went well. Bored a hole through the chuck. I bored a 3/8 inch hole. And just press this right out. Like I say, that's the easiest way to get them out. Otherwise you can, who knows, spend how much time trying to pound these things out on wedges and whatever. So now this chuck is still very stiff. doesn't want to come up and whatever. So what I'm going to do now, oh, can't even move it back, is I'm going to press this collar off, take the half nuts out and the jaws, and it's probably just very rusty. There might be something stuck in there, who knows, but it's a very simple process, and I'll show you how to do it. When you're gonna rebuild a chuck or try to repair an old chuck, you have to close the jaws before you press the collar off, because the jaws actually go in and protrude into the space of the collar when the chuck is open. And if you try to press it off, oh, this is really tight. Oh. Well, it's freezing up right there. I'm hoping this is out far enough that the jaws are not still inside this collar, and I'll show you that when I finally press the collar off. Alright, so here we go. We've got, I use sockets to support these things. Here's the chuck. I have a socket that'll go on and support it this way. And then I need a socket that will press on this outer ring, the collar. And so that's this socket. I'm hoping that it clears the inside body, and we'll find out when we go to try it. If it moves, good. If it doesn't, well, we'll have to try something else. So we put that in there. Now this particular press is a 40-ton press that used to be a vulcanizing press when they vulcanized rubber molds. I saw it sitting on the side of the road one day and said, hey, that's something I can use. But I practically got a hernia trying to put it in the truck. Probably weighs a couple 100 pounds. Anyway, I can crank it up. And now we're going to see if we can get that collar to move. It's already moving. Very easy. See that? Look down here at the hole. You see the collar is being pressed off of the half nuts. There it is. It's already done. Let's see if I can show you this. Still not wanting to come off, so let me press it some more. There it goes. It didn't take much, did it? Alright, let's take this over to the bench and I'll show you what we've got. Alright, so when you press off the collar, there are two half nuts. One and two. Now notice that the half nut has a big diameter and a small diameter, and that matches up with, let's see, with the jaws of the chuck. It's on a taper. It's pretty self-explanatory if you, when you take one of these apart or go to put it back together. Alright, so in order to get the jaws out, push them down, all of them down, and then you select one and you got to get it out. There's a few ways to do that. There we go. Now, these jaws have to go back in a special sequence, just like the jaws on a 3-jaw lathe chuck. Okay, there we go. So now it's completely disassembled. This is the body and the 3 jaws and the 2 half nuts and the collar. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean these up. I'm going to look for burrs or whatever on the jaws that are preventing it from moving freely. If I find any, I'll take it off with a stone, you know. I'll look for burrs in here and clean this up, clean the collar up, and when I get all that done, I'll do that off camera, and then we'll put it all back together. Diamond files, all kinds of files. Let's see. I need okay. I have a fine half round, and I'm going to just kind of clean up the face of this, following the same bore. Little Arkansas hardstone, oil. Alright, so now we got to put it back together. So the first thing we have to do is look at the jaws. Each jaw has a start of the thread, and you have to put them in the correct order. It's not hard to do if you look at them. So I'm going to say, as I look at, let me get over here. Okay, of each one, you'll see that it progressively changes. So I'm going to call this one number 1, and then I'm going to call this one number 2. Whoop. And this one is going to be number 3. And that's just something that you're going to have to look at and figure out. You can see that where the thread starts is progressively further down on the jaw. Okay, now you got to put it back together. So the first thing I'm going to do, let me zoom back out here, is I'm going to put some oil in the chuck body. And I'm going to take what I think is number 1. Now if you get it wrong, you change it, that's all. Put it in, I'm going to turn it. Come on, turn. There we go. I'm going to put in number 1 with the threads pointing out. I'm going to push it all the way down. Make sure it's square with the chuck. I'm going to take number 2. I'm going to push it down, turn it around. And then I'm going to take number 3. Alright, well, it took a fair bit of filing to get the bore smooth enough for that one number 2 jaw to slide in and out freely. But I think I got it. So when you put them back together, you slide the jaws back in. You have to do it by sequence. You can do that by trial and error. You can look at where the threads start on the bottom and try to figure out, which is 1, 2, and 3, just like on a lathe chuck, 3-jaw lathe chuck. And then once you get them in, you drop the half nuts in, and then we're going to press the collar back on, which holds the whole chuck together. So let's go do that. Alright, so I've got the chuck set up. I've got that same socket. I'm going to press the collar back on. Don't go much further than when you feel some resistance. That should be it. Alright, let's go. We'll go up front and take a look at what we got. Alright, so what we got? We got a beautiful number 18N ball bearing Jacobs chuck that is completely free. This truck today will cost you about $300, so if somebody gives you one or you find one and you can reclaim it, that's a good deal. This, well, the jury's out on this one until I get an arbor to see how true this chuck is. But it's working very freely now. So I'm confident that this is also a very usable chuck. All right. Ooh, they all fell back in the box. Alright, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Thumbs up. I appreciate it. See you on the next video.